Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the slope-intercept form. So the slope-intercept form is the equation y equals mx plus b. It's used to describe the form or the equation of a line. And it's used quite often because all you need are two pieces of information. Number one, as the name suggests, is the slope. And number two, also in the name, is the y-intercept, which is why they call it the slope-intercept form. If we have those two pieces of information, we can write the equation to any line. Now, today we're talking about straight lines, linear equations, okay? So let's first talk a little bit about what slope is. Slope a lot of times is referred to as rise over run, and it's abbreviated with the letter m, okay? M equals rise over run, a common expression in high school. So rise is referring to how much did the graph change in the y direction, whereas run is referring to how much did the graph change in the x direction, horizontal movement. Okay, a lot of times it's also called the change in y divided by the change in x. And to understand what slope is, it's essentially the rate of how fast your line is climbing or how fast your line is decreasing. How fast are things changing, the rate of change. Slope allows us to see this. It'll affect how steep our actual line is. Positive numbers will climb from the left to the right, whereas negative slopes will decrease from the left to the right. Okay, so we'll either see a line going upwards if it's a positive slope, or we'll see a line going downwards if it's a negative slope. So we're going to use the slope, and the other thing that the equation involves, or the form involves, is the y-intercept. This is simply the point on the y-axis, because when we have lines, this is our x-axis, this would be our y-axis. And what we're looking for, the y-intercept, is the point. Let's say I have this line here. The y-intercept is the point where our line crosses the y-axis. So if we have these two pieces of information, we are able to write the equation to any line, if we can see the line, but also this form helps us graph a line. If we know how to read this equation and we can tell what the y-intercept is and what the slope is, then we're able to graph an actual line based on from an equation. So let's go ahead and let's practice that now. We're going to look at some equations and we're going to see, can we graph the line based off of the given equation? So let's look at this first one. It says, use the slope-intercept to graph the equation y equals 3/8 x plus 5. Here in this example, 3 over 8 would be my slope. Usually whatever number or fraction, the coefficient, more to use a better term, in front of the x, whatever's in front of that x, that is my slope. So here my m would be 3 over 8. B represents our y-intercept. B is where the line is going to cross the y-axis. And a lot of times this is where we start off. First, we usually look for the y-intercept, and I try to find where is that y-intercept located. So simply, it's a positive 5, so I look for positive 5. Positive 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be the location of my y-intercept. This is my y-intercept. Or B, you can call it. Now, we use our slope by counting. The number on top represents how far up or how far down I need to go. If that number is positive, I climb up that number of spaces. If it's negative, I'll climb downwards from my y-axis or from my y-intercept until I've reached that value. So in this case, the number above it is 3. So I'm going to climb up 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. The next number I look at is the number on the bottom of my fraction, which is 8. This is what we call our run. So the top numbers are rise, the bottom numbers are run. I'm going to run 8 spaces. So if that number is positive, I'm going to move to the right 8 spaces. If it's negative, I'm going to move to the left. So I'm going to move to the right 8 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now all I need to graph a line are 2 points. And I can draw an infinite line that connects those 2 points. So once I've climbed 3 and gone to the right 8, I can go ahead and mark my second point, and this is a point that I found by using my slope. And all I need to do now is connect those points to see what my line looks like. And this would be the line for the equation y equals 3/8 x plus 5. Let's go ahead and let's look at an example of one line where we have a negative slope. Here we have a positive slope, so it looks like the line's going higher and higher as it moves to the right. Let's take a second to look at a line that has a negative slope. So again here, for this problem, my slope is a -1/2. -1/2. My intercept would be +3. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and find +3 on my graph on the y-axis. So on this axis, +3 is located right here. And again, this is my y-intercept. My slope in this case is -1/2. And the question that people often ask is, well, where do I assign the negative to? Does the negative belong to the 1? Or does the negative belong to the 2? Or does this mean that I go down 1 and to the left 2? Well, the negative can only belong to one of the numbers. You can either choose to go down 1 and treat the 2 as a positive number and go to the right 2. So let's see what happens when I do that. If I say that this fraction is actually -1/2, then I would go down 1 because I have a negative number on the top, so I'm moving down 1 space. And since the bottom number would be a +2, I can move to the right 2. And this could be one possible point. Now, if you chose to give the negative value to the bottom, that would also work. But in this case, if I'm reading this, I would go up 1 because now the 1 is positive. And I would go to the left 2 because now the 2 is negative. 1, 2. You can see that they're all still lined up. Regardless of which point I chose or which direction I went, I would still get the same exact line. Now you can also plot more points to get a more accurate line. I can choose either point and continue to follow the trend, either going down 1 to the right 2 from each point. So I can go to this point, the first point I found by using the slope, down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the right 2. And I can keep up this pattern, and what this does is it allows me to get a more accurate line. Now again, do I need to do this? No. But for some of you, it might be helpful when you're drawing the lines. So then I would just connect all these points as best as I can. And that would be the equation to y equals -1/2 x plus 3. Again, notice negative line, negative slope led to a line that's going downwards. Okay? And that's how we use the slope-intercept form to graph a line directly from the equation. So I hope now you have a better understanding of how to use the slope-intercept form to graph a line given the equation. Now what you'll see in this next video, if you watch it, is how to do the opposite of what we did today. You'll get a graph instead, and we're going to learn how to use slope-intercept form to write the equation to a line that's already been graphed. And then there'll be another video on how to write an equation given just 2 points. So stay tuned for that. I hope you check those out. As always, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.